Hey there, class. Happy Monday. Um, we are at week 6, so we got 3 more weeks, and I guess 3 more assignments to get through. So if we look through what we've been going, the lessons that we've been going over. So we see we've got our define our product, we've got define a problem, customer, analyze a market, develop a strategy. All right. So we've been doing a lot of, I guess, what, probably call like high level, heady kind of thought tasks. And I know I've gotten some questions around just like, what's the approach to marketing and, how to think about marketing. And, in some respects, I think, people's initial kind of when they're thinking about what marketing is and how to do marketing, I think the creative side of things comes to mind. So we're gonna, make some flashy piece of content that's gonna go viral, and that's how we're gonna sell our product, attract customers, become millionaires, right? Um, there's definitely a creative piece to this, but I think the important thing to know about the creative aspect is you really want to be directed when you are doing your creative stuff. Um, creative can, when we talk about like time sinks, uh, the creative process you can spend infinite amount of time creating a graphic for your Facebook post. Um, what we want to do is when we're putting the time into those things, we want to kind of know what we're trying to create and why we're trying to create it. Otherwise, we end up burning a ton of time. And in fact, like I would say, if you're, the less certain of the direction you're headed in, and kind of the less confident you are in what you're doing, the less time you should spend on the creative process. So if you are uncertain, if you've kind of defined your customer and you're like, oh, I'm not totally sure, but let me create a piece of marketing content to kind of test. That can be a great test. That can be a great test. But what you don't want to do is sink an insane amount of time into, this test. You want to kind of do like a little test or a couple little tests, ideally, and then see what happens. Did anything attract any attention? In my experience, most of the things we do attract nothing. We put time and effort into these things, and the reality is the output or the outcome uh, is really little. And so, if we put a bunch of time into the creative process and kind of get no data back to analyze, it's really just a time sink without any benefit. So actually, if you scroll down, next week we'll be talking about KPIs, which will be actually tracking the progress of what we create. But today's the fun day. Today's the creative day. Today's the day when your imagination gets to run wild and you get to create a piece of media that represents you and your business and whoever the heck you're trying to uh, talk to. Um, okay, so that's what this week's assignment is. We're going to build a couple of assets, and those can be all sorts of things: an ad, a landing page for a website, a social media post. It could be print media. It could be digital media. It could be, I don't know, a Snapchat post. It can be uh, a billboard. Whatever you want. And with AI tools, all of those other things are practical. In the past, mocking some of these things up and really thinking about how to market to these different channels might have been really difficult. Today, it's easy. Videos, if you want to create a video, that's cool too. What I'm looking for is some amount of production value. So I think these things are fun. I'm looking for a piece of media that you would actually post. So, if you're going to create a video, if you're going to create a TikTok and you're just going to speak into your camera the way you normally, might if you're conversing to a friend or something, like it's probably not going to work. We need a little splash. We need a little pizzazz. We need something that talks about who your business is and, conveys the information. All right. So I've got, you can create one or two. It kind of depends on how much time you're going to sink into these things. I want to see something that you're proud of. Okay. Put some effort into this stuff. This is the fun part of marketing. This is not, the tedious part here. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing. And we want to really think about, like, who are we focusing on and what are we trying to get them to do? So what we want to think about is, where in our sales funnel are they? Have they ever heard about our product? Because if not, trying to communicate a message to someone and expecting them to view that message and ultimately, buy our item instantaneously probably isn't going to happen. We may need to warm them up a little bit. So what is the outcome we're trying to actually produce from this piece of content? Maybe you're trying to get someone to like and subscribe, or you're trying to get somebody to, repost or comment or visit a website or try a sample, or, come to this location on this certain day, or sign up for something, right? What are we trying to accomplish? Who are we trying to target? And then I say, what's the clear next step? What do you want them to do? And that's what we want to communicate. And we want it to be uncluttered. We want it to be, brand representative. We want it to be attractive. We want it to be emotive. We want all those things in the briefest possible piece of media possible. All right. So I want to know what you're creating, and then really, where are you posting this thing? What are you going to be doing with this? Okay. So that's what we want to create. Now, I would like you to use AI tools if you do not have the necessary skill sets to do this another way. Now, some of you may have, great tool skill sets and you feel comfortable doing things in Photoshop. If not, there's no excuse not to have a beautiful piece of media. There's tons of tools out there that will help you create these things very cost effectively, i.e. free, and allow you to iterate. And what you may need to do is play with it. You may need to give it more instruction and, kind of prompt the thing over and over and over. But this is an opportunity to get your hands dirty with these types of tools if you haven't. Now, we're in a college class, and the report this week was how many students are cheating in college. And I'm encouraging you to use these tools in this class. So hopefully you are accustomed to using them and can take a swing at these. Okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. That's the instruction. That's the reason why we're doing it. And that's the mindset I want to have you go in thinking about this. Okay? All right. So what are we going to do for our videos? So we've got two videos. One is just how to create marketing materials effectively. And the second one is on basically a beginner's guide to AI marketing. Now, the second one's a little long. I'm going to sit here and watch it because I feel like I've got some comments that I might be able to provide. But I'm not going to watch the first one with you, the how to create marketing materials. I'll watch the second one, and then maybe I'll I'll walk through an AI prompt just to show you what the types of things that we can create if you haven't done it. So let me pull this one up. All right, there we go. And let's take a look.
Worried that you've missed the AI bandwagon?
Don't be.
AI can be a fantastic tool for marketers when it's used correctly. But you can't use what you don't know. So today we're going to be looking at what AI marketing is and how it impacts you. But before we get to the tools, what is AI marketing? In short, it's the use of artificial intelligence, i.e. robots, in your marketing. In long, the artificial intelligence tools that we're using have been trained on vast amounts of information across the web, i.e. they have read a lot of content, far more than any human can.
So not only will it have knowledge of nearly every topic you can think of, it will also have knowledge of marketing.
So if you ask for information on marketing for a law firm, it won't just return information about law firms and marketing. It will work to combine the two to give you information about law firm marketing. Now, marketers are getting a decent ROI from AI tools, but there are plenty of limitations. So if you expect to just be able to type a few things into ChatGPT and it do all of your marketing for you, you're going to have a sad time. But if you treat it as a tool to enhance your
So we want to be informative. So we want to be directed. We want to give it enough information. We really want to be specific. I know when I prompt AI, I spend, initially when I started using the tool, it was really, very quick kind of response. And now I actually take a bunch of time to craft a response. If I'm telling it to create an image, I'll often actually use the AI to help me create the prompt for creating the image. And maybe we'll show that type of example here.
existing marketing activity, you can get some great results. So here's how you can start using AI in your marketing and the best tools to help you out.
Like a little digital assistant.
ChatGPT is probably the tool that you've heard the most about.
Comically, this is 2 years old, so this may not be the best, but we'll see.
It's the one that got the most headlines and got most people talking in the marketing space. And it's not just marketing focused, so it has really broad appeal. It definitely has limitations though, including the fact that ChatGPT is only trained on data up to 2021, so it can't give you information about current trends or
Yeah, that's not true anymore.
recent events. The results you get out of it also heavily depend on the sort of prompts that you're giving it. If you ask it a basic question like, write me 5 Google ads for an accounting firm, you'll get ads like this. Fairly basic and obviously not tailored to your business at all. But if you ask it a more tailored question like, I'm doing the marketing for a nationwide USA accounting firm that works with businesses with turnover between $500K and $1 million in the agricultural sector, please write me some Google ads.
Yeah, so we want to be really specific. What is the customer? Where are we trying to get to, right? We want all that type of
Ads, you will get a far better response like this. Now, it's not perfect. That last one in particular, pretty clumsy, but you can see by how asking a better question, we get a much better response. And by default, ChatGPT produces average responses to average questions, because that's exactly what it's been designed to do. Of course, an experienced marketer will be able to tell what a good response looks like versus an average one, and they'll also be able to tailor their questions to get better output. Now, ChatGPT led Bing to release Bing Chat AI, and Google to announce their own AI-powered search. Bing runs off ChatGPT, and to be fair, it has produced some shocking answers, especially if you don't know how to ask it correctly. But it's still a step forward, and it'll be fascinating to see how this impacts organic traffic from Bing and Google. SEO will change as people use chatbot AI more, from the questions that they ask to the responses that they expect to get. We're expecting it to have a similar but more extreme impact to featured snippets.
Why click through to the website when you can read the answer right there in the search engine?
Exactly, and the AI may not even link to the original content that it got this information from, or it might have got this information from a range of different sources, so it's not possible to specifically cite one. Another potential issue is that informational search and top-of-funnel research may happen entirely in the chat interface, meaning less organic traffic going to informational content on websites. This would lead to a corresponding drop in conversions from top-of-funnel traffic. With chatbots like Bing, where their sources are cited and linked in the answer, the SEO goal won't necessarily be to be the first referenced answer, but to provide the best part of the answer.
We're not worrying about SEO because we're going to be focused on, we want to create some sort of textual, input that maybe we're going to use on a graphic or something like that, but we want something that's visual as well.
More videos on how to rank for Bing Chat coming soon.
Subscribe to the channel for updates.
We see a lot of people using AI tools wrong, wasting a lot of time and potentially money as well. But here's how to make the most of these tools. Using ChatGPT, we're going to create a service page for a personal injury law firm, starting with some keyword suggestions. Can you tell me 10 keywords a personal injury law firm from the USA based in Texas should be ranking for on Google relating to personal injury law? Now, these are okay, no complaints. We'd obviously need to go and check check their search volumes, and we'd also need to think about, are there any other high-value phrases that aren't included here, which we cover, which we'd want to make sure are included. But this is a good start. Bing Chat produced similarly generic keywords with less variety than ChatGPT. Bing stuck with lawyer throughout, whereas ChatGPT included attorney in some of the keywords. Now, of course, an experienced marketer is going to know that you don't just want to be targeting lawyer phrases, you're going to want to include some variations in there, things like keywords targeting attorney, all of course based on search.
Maybe we want to, ask the tool to give us some variety so that we can pick from something.
Search volume, and making sure that this is terminology that your customers are actually likely to use. We can then ask ChatGPT to create a service page outline which includes some USPs.
I often joke that I'm retired, but in reality, it's just that I get to live my dream of being a full-time.
This outline could be better.
Instead of explaining the services in the first paragraph, ChatGPT chose to use that space to introduce the business. An experienced marketer would have known that if you want to get good results from this page, you need to immediately establish relevance as soon as a visitor lands on it.
So again, he's talking about a specific landing page, and he's got a specific viewpoint of who's showing up. So depending on, this is why we want to think about who our customer is, where in the sales funnel they are, how they're showing up to our page, what their expectations are, because that'll guide us to okay, what content should be at the top. Depending on what the answers to those questions, will change how we want to design a page.
We probably want to talk more about how the potential customer is feeling and establish that bond between their issue and what our service is. That said, this is a good start. You could tweak and refine this. Now, Bing's outline opted to share all the important information about product liability law before moving on to explain why you should choose this firm. Obviously, it's important to have a marketer look over the work that's produced by an AI and make sure it's structuring this in an effective way. Someone looking for law services is going to want to know that this firm actually does the thing that they offer, and that's going to be more important to them initially than the family-owned element, for example. Once they've seen that you offer the service that they're interested in, then they're looking for information about what sets you apart from competitors. But without that initial relevance, you're not going to get them to care about the other stuff. We can then use this outline to write our blog.
But Tim, why aren't we just getting the AI to generate the content for us?
I'll show you why. The content produced by ChatGPT is okay, and it can be used as a guide, but it does tend to be fairly generic. We asked for a friendly, knowledgeable tone of voice, but it's just not quite there. Best way to describe it is basic. The copy that Bing Chat wrote for us was even more basic. We didn't even get the luxury of proper headings like we did with ChatGPT. Now, most AI content, even from GPT-4, requires the attention of someone who is experienced in content marketing or who knows the business really well to get it.
I don't know if I totally agree with this. I think the content output personally is pretty good on these tools. So, I don't think you need, you all are smart enough to look at copy and content and decide whether or not it's good enough to sell your product. So I think the main thing is read through what it gives you and make sure you are on board with it and that you're in agreement with it before you just click next.
Shaped up, make sure it matches the company's tone of voice and does the thing that it's supposed to do on that page, i.e. convince and motivate the customer to act. Speaking of experienced marketers, did you know the team here at Exposure Ninja offers a completely...
How do we get past this?
So, how does AI handle writing longer pieces of content, like a blog?
Let's try it with an example about dentistry. Google makes any content about your money or your life work extra hard to get that ranking. And putting out let's start with some keyword research. This outline partway through.
All right, face it. Your life is a complete mess right now.
Well,
the laundry's not folded. You haven't exercised in weeks.
Due to character limitations. Now, looking through the blog, we run into a few challenges. First is checking the stat GPT site wrong.
Well, I'm not super happy. The beginning part of that was good. I'm not happy that they're going into a blog. So here's what I want to do. I actually want to open a window and let's play around. So I'm on ChatGPT and let's just play around with creating a piece of marketing content. So let's just say I am a event business I have a pet-oriented show at a state fair this summer. Can you come up with some good names for the event that connote fun, summer, and pets, and will attract pet owners and pet lovers. Okay, so I'm asking it to give me some names, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do here. Okay, so we got some summer. Okay, cool. So we've got Paws in the Park, Petapalooza, Bark and Bash, Tail Waggin' Fair, Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, State Fur. Okay, so it's up to me to pick one. Okay, so it's given me a bunch, and it's up to me to pick one. And let's say I'm okay with Paws in the Park. Is okay, more like it. Okay, so let's just say I want something like this, but I want more like it, but I'm looking for one word. Okay, Pawpalooza. I love it. Tailgate. Oh man, Paradise for Petopia, Barkfest. Okay, so whatever. Let's call it. What do we want? Pawpalooza. Okay. Okay, I like Pawpalooza, so then I can be like, describe the event and its main features and attributes. Okay, so now I'm building out my event. And again, I'm reading the content, and it's up to me to decide whether or not this is good. Okay, so it's got all these different things happening. All right. Now let's say what I want to do. Let's say the piece of marketing content that I want to create is a flyer. So you see here it says, let me know if you want a version of this tailored for your website, social post, or promotional flyer. So I'm going to say a promotional flyer. Okay, so we'll say yes, promotional flyer. Okay, so now it's going to tailor me copy for a. Okay, so it's given me copy for this. Okay, now if I look at this, like that is a lot to put on a flyer. So I'm going to say create a shorter version, a shorter, more concise version, a shorter condensed. Okay, cool. So create a shorter, condensed version. Great. Okay, now it gave me that copy. Okay, so now I want to say, create a prompt that I could use to create an image of this. Okay, now you'll see above here, it said, let us know if you'd like it formatted as a flyer graphic, social media image. Okay, so I could have just said yes. I want to see the prompt. So create a from this for a 8.5 by 11 page. Okay, so it's funny. I needed. Okay, that's not what I wanted. All right. So let's go up and we'll modify this. So when I modify this message, okay, so what do I want to do here? So I'm reading this prompt and it says, so that prompt isn't quite right. It should be a prompt I can put into an AI image creator by 11 flyer. Hopefully you can see this. So again, I'm saying what I want it to do is give me a prompt to create an 8.5 by an 11 flyer that I can paste into this thing. So here's what you'll see. So prompt for an AI image generator. So okay, so it's given me something here. So I'm going to open a new window and I'm going to click on this create image button and I will paste that in. And now it will start doing its magic. All right, we'll see how long this takes. But so what you saw that I did is I went through this process of refining. Now, obviously, I'm doing this kind of quickly. I'd want to read through it, get the point, get the bullet points, change, morph them, move them around. And here's what came up. Okay, now what we'll see here is like a lot of these words aren't going to be correct. So maybe what I want to do is I could actually, I could take this and I could take this top of this image and I could kind of like crop it. So I could copy and paste it into like a Google Sheets, or I'm sorry, a Google Slides, and then I could just, or I could screenshot and just take this top part, and then maybe I could build this bottom part on my own, or maybe I want to do a second, prompt that's focused on more of this content or something. I can build these things, through multiple prompts. But cool, this to me looks really interesting, and I could take this, the top, and I could probably put down below, I could just type the content in. I don't necessarily need to rely on it being this designed out on the bottom because the top looks great. Okay, so this to me, and frankly, I could double use this. I could use this asset up here as it's a square post. Maybe it's an Instagram post. I could put some information, down below on the date and the time, those types of things. People understand what's going on. Boom, we've got our asset. We've worked it. We've massaged it. We've, made it something that's attractive. And, we might put a call to action on what we're expecting people to do, buy today, get a discount, whatever. Okay. So that's really what we're talking about creating, and really, how simple it is. Now, there's all sorts of tools. There's video creators, there's image creators. And if you want to get super creative and play around, I encourage you to do so. But that's how we use one of these simple AI tools to A, create copy, and then B, kind of move it into the process of creating an actual asset. Okay. Great. Well, that is what I have for you today. I may have a halfway video this week. I'm not totally sure, but I may try to post something on Wednesday that may help us along, depending on what I'm seeing from students. Okay. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and have a great day.